College athletics has entered a new era, one defined by both chaos and unprecedented opportunity. The world of college sports, once governed by strict rules and traditions, is now in the midst of a dramatic transformation. The stakes have never been higher, and the landscape is shifting beneath the feet of athletes, coaches, and universities alike. For decades, student athletes were barred from earning money for their performance. The idea was that amateurism preserved the purity of college sports, but it also meant that athletes who filled stadiums and brought in millions for their schools saw little reward beyond scholarships and the hope of a professional career. That all changed with the arrival of name, image, and likeness, or NIL, rules. Suddenly the doors were thrown open for athletes to benefit from their own talents and popularity, in ways that were once unimaginable. Now, athletes could profit from endorsements, social media deals, and their personal brands. For the first time, a star quarterback or a standout gymnast could sign sponsorships, appear in commercials, or even launch their own businesses, all while still in school. But with this newfound freedom came confusion. The lack of a national standard meant that rules varied wildly from state to state and school to school. Some athletes found themselves with lucrative deals, while others struggled to navigate a maze of regulations and uncertainty. The playing field, once level, now seemed more uneven than ever. In response to this growing chaos, Congress stepped in. Lawmakers introduced the SCORE Act, a bold attempt to create a single nationwide framework for NIL. The goal was to bring order to a system that was quickly spiraling out of control. Authored by Representative Gus Bilirakis, the bill sought to bring order to what many were calling the Wild West of college sports. It was a direct response to the patchwork of state laws and the growing sense that something had to change. Supporters of the SCORE Act argued that it would finally level the recruiting field, ensuring that no school or athlete had an unfair advantage simply because of geography or local politics. For universities and athletes alike, the promise of stability and clear guidelines was a welcome change. It offered hope that the chaos could be tamed, and that everyone could compete on equal terms. The NCAA, long the governing body of college sports, found itself unable to manage the complexities of the NIL era alone. Facing mounting pressure and legal challenges, the organization turned to Congress for help, hoping for a solution that would restore order and protect the future of college athletics. The SCORE Act represented a major federal attempt to define the relationship between schools, athletes, and the billions of dollars now flowing into college sports. It was a recognition that the old rules no longer fit the new reality. For athletes, the bill was a sign that their economic rights were finally being recognized. No longer would their hard work and talent go unrewarded while others profited from their success. For universities, it promised a future with clear guidelines and predictability, allowing them to focus on supporting their athletes and maintaining competitive programs. But as the details of the bill emerged, it became clear that consensus would not come easily. Lawmakers, university officials, and athletes all had different visions for what the future should look like, and the debates grew heated. The introduction of the SCORE Act set the stage for a dramatic political showdown, with the future of college sports hanging in the balance. The stakes were enormous, and the outcome far from certain. As the debate raged on, one thing was clear: the future of college sports, and who controls its riches, was suddenly up for grabs. The next chapter in this high-stakes game was just beginning, and everyone involved was playing to win. At the heart of the SCORE Act was a bold and controversial proposal, a cap on how much schools could pay their athletes. This provision quickly became the focal point of heated national debate, drawing attention from lawmakers, university officials, athletes, and fans alike. The idea was simple in theory, but its implications were anything but. Under the proposed rule, schools would be allowed to use no more than 22% of their total athletic revenue to compensate student athletes. This meant that for the first time, there would be a formal limit on how much money could flow directly to players, regardless of how much revenue powerhouse programs generated. For many, this was a seismic shift in the landscape of college sports. It marked a move away from the traditional amateur model, acknowledging that athletes deserved a share of the billions generated by their performances. Yet, the cap also imposed a strict ceiling, ensuring that the move toward repayment would be carefully controlled. Supporters of the cap argued it was a necessary safeguard. They claimed it would protect non-revenue sports, like swimming, volleyball, and track, by preventing football and basketball from monopolizing resources. Athletic departments, they said, needed this structure to remain financially stable and to continue offering a wide range of opportunities for student athletes. Without a cap, they warned, the most lucrative sports could easily drain budgets, forcing schools to cut smaller teams and limit scholarships. The 22% figure, in their view, struck a balance between rewarding athletes and preserving the diversity of college athletics. But critics saw things very differently. To them, the 22% cap was arbitrary, a number chosen without real justification. They argued it unfairly restricted athletes' earning power, especially when compared to professional leagues, where players often negotiate for nearly half of all revenue. In the NBA and NFL, for example, collective bargaining agreements allow players to claim a much larger share of the financial pie. College athletes, critics said, deserve the same freedom to negotiate and benefit from their talents, rather than being held back by an imposed ceiling. The 22% cap quickly became the most divisive feature of the SCORE Act. What began as a regulatory effort to bring order to college sports turned into a fierce battle over economic rights, fairness, and the future of amateur athletics. The debate was no longer just about compliance or rules, it was about who truly gets to profit from the massive industry that college sports have become. For many, it raised fundamental questions about equity, opportunity, and the value of student athletes. In the end, the 22% cap became the lightning rod that defined the fight, symbolizing the broader struggle over money, power, and fairness in college athletics. Democrats quickly united against the SCORE Act. They argued the bill protected universities and the NCAA, not student athletes. The 22% cap, they said, locked athletes out of fair compensation and blocked their ability to organize or bargain collectively. In their view, the bill rolled back recent progress on athlete rights, prioritizing institutional profits over student welfare. Democrats wanted a bill focused on health, education, and unrestricted organizing rights. With these objections, Democratic opposition became a wall the bill could not overcome. Republican support for the SCORE Act fractured as well. Some conservatives balked at federal intervention in college sports, seeing it as government overreach. Others, like Representative Chip Roy, argued the bill propped up the NCAA instead of fixing deeper problems. Many worried about the optics, debating athlete pay while bigger national issues loomed. The combination of ideological resistance and political misgivings led to key defections. With Democrats opposed and Republicans divided, leadership pulled the bill to avoid a public defeat. The episode exposed deep rifts within the GOP. The SCORE Act's collapse was as much about party division as policy. The debate over the SCORE Act collided with a headline-grabbing coaching move. Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU, signing a massive contract, just as the bill neared a vote. With House Speaker Mike Johnson and Majority Leader Steve Scalise both LSU alumni, critics dubbed the bill the Lane Kiffin Protection Act. The narrative capping athlete pay would free up money for blockbuster coaching deals at powerhouse schools. Whether true or not, the optics were disastrous. The story shifted from policy to political favoritism, further eroding support. A coaching change became a potent symbol of the bill's flaws. The SCORE Act's failure reignited a bigger question. Should Congress regulate college sports at all? Some lawmakers, left and right, argued Congress had more urgent priorities, like education costs and healthcare. They saw NIL as a distraction from real student issues. Others insisted federal action was necessary, given the NCAA's failures and the chaos of state-by-state laws. Only a national law, they argued, could bring fairness and order to the NIL era. The debate revealed rare bipartisan agreement on both sides of the argument. The question of federal involvement remains unresolved. The collapse of the SCORE Act exposed deep divisions and competing visions for the future of athlete rights in America. What began as a push for reform quickly revealed just how complex and contentious the issue has become, with lawmakers, athletes, and advocacy groups all pulling in different directions. One camp, made up of many university leaders and some lawmakers, supports what they call managed professionalism. They argue that athletes should be paid for their contributions, but within a system that maintains limits. like salary caps or restrictions on outside deals, to protect the financial stability of non-revenue sports and preserve the traditional college experience. Their vision is to balance fair compensation with the survival of college athletics as we know it. On the other side, a growing movement led by Democrats and powerful advocacy groups is pushing for a true free market. They want to remove all caps on athlete earnings, grant full rights to unionize, and allow collective bargaining, treating athletes as employees with the same labor protections as any other worker. For them, anything less is a denial of basic economic rights. A third vision, championed by lawmakers like Senator Josh Hawley, takes a broader approach. They propose universal name, image, and likeness, NIL rights for all Americans, not just athletes, as part of sweeping data privacy reforms. This idea reframes the debate, suggesting that everyone, not just college athletes, deserves control over their personal data and how it's used for profit. The debate has evolved far beyond simple questions of pay. Now, it's about identity and status. Are athletes primarily students, employees, or citizens with unique economic rights? Each answer points to a radically different future for college sports and higher education. The path forward will depend on which vision can build the broadest and most durable coalition, one that can bridge the gap between tradition and change, and between competing interests. The failure of the SCORE Act made it clear that narrow, institution-focused solutions are no longer enough. The stakes are too high, and the issues too interconnected for piecemeal reforms to succeed. Any future law will require real compromise, one that respects the rights of athletes, the needs of universities, and the broader public interest. For now, the question of athlete rights remains wide open, with the next chapter still unwritten. With the SCORE Act dead, Congress is back to square one. The problems, confusion, lack of transparency, NCAA paralysis, remain. Lawmakers plan to revise the bill, but compromise will be tough. Conservatives want less federal control. Democrats want no revenue cap and protection for collective bargaining. The legislative calendar is packed, making it hard for NIL reform to get attention. Meanwhile, states may pass more conflicting laws, and athletes could push for employee status in court. The NCAA's influence is fading, but the pressure for a national solution is growing. The uncertainty of the NIL era continues. The next attempt at reform will need to bridge deep divides. For now, college sports remain in limbo. The SCORE Act's failure highlights the complexity of athlete compensation. The debate has grown beyond fairness. It's now about labor rights, institutional power, and the role of government. The need for a national NIL standard is clear, but political will is lacking. Future legislation must move past arbitrary caps and address collective bargaining and employment status. Only genuine bipartisan compromise can break the deadlock. For athletes and schools, the wait for clarity goes on. The Wild West of NIL persists, with no end in sight. The story of college sports and athlete rights is far from over.